Welcome to Thoughts on Tuesday. So today's topic is belonging, because it's something that comes up during coaching sessions quite often. So what do I mean by belonging? Well, it harks back to, in the days when we were in caves or part of a tribe. If we didn't belong to that tribe, then our health, our safety was at risk. Our very survival depended on that tribe for protection. So who is it that protects you whilst you're asleep with those predators? For care, so what happens when you're sick or unwell? Who looks after you? For food and connection, that human connection that we need with each other. So what can happen is when we feel like we don't belong to something, and let me start by talking about what the things that we can belong to. So primarily when I'm working with my clients, it's an organisation. So often clients can feel like they don't belong because of a values conflict, because of a threat to their position. So they feel like they're going to be excluded from the group that they've belonged to. We can belong to clubs, professional bodies, families, groups of friends, communities. There are plenty of opportunities for us to belong. And I can remember reading a study a few years ago about the impact of retirement and the fact that what effect it has on people's longevity of life, but also level of happiness when they're no longer part of an organisation where they belong. So when we don't belong, what happens? Back to the olden days, if we were excluded from a group, so excommunicated or whatever else, and we were faced with finding another tribe, what that does for us is it triggers our fight or flight system, because our very existence is under threat. Now, the difference is with modern society, obviously we live in a much safer environment and the threats are different things. So it could be a threat to position in an organisation, it could be a threat to status, resources, anything like that. And often you can become persecuted as a result of someone else feeling threatened or the threat that you present. So I can think of a recent example where my membership, in inverted commas, of a group was under threat, and how stressed that made me feel as a result of that. Now, hindsight's a beautiful thing, isn't it? I only realised what was going on once the event had passed. Now, when we're under threat, so when we're at risk of no longer belonging as part of that group, we can often get trapped in the Cartman drama triangle. So in those situations, there's a victim, there's a rescuer, and there's a persecutor. And in this recent example, I absolutely felt persecuted by a number of individuals. And it really made me question everything that I was doing. And because my membership was under threat, I can laugh now, but I did all sorts of things to knock on that door of membership. Now, groups are funny things, whether it's an organisation, a professional body, it could be a group of friends, the list goes on. Now, with any group, so there are a set of rules, there's often a set of values. The number of clients I've worked with where either organisational values have changed or their own personal values have changed, which has meant that their membership of that group was under threat, or they no longer felt comfortable being as part of that group. Often there are leaders as well. And what's interesting, because I often work with leaders, there can be unofficial leaders within a group. So even though the leader is leading the group, if the leader is struggling to get followers from that group, often it can be as a result of a powerful member who is kind of the ringleader and who is setting the ground rules, and everybody else is following the subset or the leader beneath the leader, if that makes sense. Now, back to the Cartman drama triangle. So when somebody is under threat, their membership is under threat, and we're trapped in this Cartman drama triangle. So I said I was annoyed with myself. I felt like a victim and didn't realise I was being persecuted at the time. And what happens when we're trapped in that particular cycle? And in all honesty, I think I wanted someone to rescue me as well. When we're trapped, and they refer to it as being trapped in a game, and there's various communication exchanges. I was knocking on that door of membership. I cringe now. I kept trying to justify my existence, to justify why I should be a part of this group. I overextended myself, I questioned myself, and then I had the realisation that actually I'm trapped in this game. And the way out is to get what we refer to as adult to adult. So you can communicate either as a parent, as a child, or as an adult. And as an adult, we are straightforward, we're honest, and we're direct. We get out of the game, we exit, and we re-establish our own ground rules. So it does require managing your boundaries, being straightforward, as I've already mentioned, but also understanding what behaviour is acceptable and not acceptable from your perspective. So back to that ringleader again. So whoever is doing the persecuting, that's when we're required to have an open dialogue with someone and re-establish the ground rules. And so we meet them adult to adult. Now, in some circumstances, people won't come and meet you adult to adult. They'll still want to try and keep you trapped in that triangle. And sometimes a position becomes untenable, in which case, if you've made yourself a set of boundaries and you know what behaviour is acceptable and not acceptable, sometimes we just have to get out of the game completely. And we have to say, do you know what? Enough's enough. So my questions for you today include, where do you belong? And if your sense of belonging is under threat, so your membership of a group is under threat, what's going on there? What can you do about it? What conversations need to be had? Are you also trapped in a Cartman drama triangle? Finally, one of the things I notice about the leaders that I work with is that it is a lonely old position. Often they do have to put their head above the parapet, and leading the way can make you feel like you're under threat sometimes because people don't automatically follow the leader. Just know that you're not on your own, and it is a common theme, as I've mentioned, that I see recurring with leaders. Surround yourself with people that can help you and be your cheerleaders, but also alternative groups that you can be a part of where you feel you have got that support. Anyway, take care and see you soon. Bye.